When the government questions its citizens for suspicions of a crime, it's called an investigation. When the citizens question their government, it's called a conspiracy theory. We've been conditioned not to question the government's story.
Crashed into the Hudson River on a tourist tour. Everybody's life was lost on that aircraft, and let's take a look at what led up to this incident, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts on what happened.
New York 39 is issued at the back of the statue looking for Bravo tour information pop-up. New York 38 near Sarah Squawka Street, radar contact 700, traffic about a quarter mile east-to westbound indicating 600. We cleared in a 1,500, altimeter 3033. So 1,500, this is New York 38.
Let's talk about the lead up to what happens here in this incident. This Bell helicopter is taking tourists on a tour of the Hudson River, and I've actually done this very tour before, not in a helicopter, but in a T-34 Bravo with a friend of mine. And there's a VFR corridor, visual flight rules, up and down the Hudson River. So you have to stay below the Class B airspace, and Class B airspace looks like this. And you have to be at 1,300 feet or below, but as long as you're below that airspace, it's called a Bravo tour, right, for that Class B airspace. So they'll keep these airplanes down below that certain altitude, and most of them are at 600 to 1,000 feet as they fly up and down the Hudson. On the one side is Manhattan, on the other side is New Jersey, and then as you go farther up the Hudson River, you actually get out into some beautiful green spaces up there. This helicopter tour doesn't go very far. It goes up to the George Washington Bridge and turns around and comes back, and then something catastrophic happens at that point. There's a lot of traffic in this area. You're going to hear a lot of traffic calls back and forth. It's a very crowded airspace, but it's very common for people to be taking these tourist trips.
Okay, just confirm, is it 39 or 38? The code's 39. Actually, yeah, 39.
So the helicopter just got the wrong call sign. I do that sometimes in my airplane. I get it wrong, and then they just corrected it.
New York 39, Roger, LaGuardia 2605.
Okay, first of the traffic calls, maintain visual separation. We heard that same call in the DCA crash, maintain visual separation. The helicopter then will receive that, or they'll accept that. As they do that, now the contract is kind of confirmed. You got the traffic. Yep, we're going to keep visual separation of that same traffic.
LaGuardia, thank you. Nothing known, LaGuardia, New York 39, back with you for Bravo tour. New York 39, Woody South 3032, Bravo tour approved.
So the LaGuardia air traffic controllers talk to these guys numerous times a day, and their Bravo tour's back, and this guy's headed north up the river. He's going to make it to just past the George Washington Bridge, and then they're going to turn around and come back towards the Statue of Liberty.
New York 39, traffic 2 to 3 o'clock, and that's 2 miles southeast on helicopter 1,300 heads on the site.
Another traffic call.
New York 39, looking for that traffic. Could I also get that checked out? New York 39, leaving the Bravo, ready to turn at Scorpion Park, frequency approved traffic, full facing north south 15 helicopter.
So he says, can I also get a checkout? What's he asking there when he says that? He's asking for VFR flight following. So he's not on an instrument flight plan where it's a prescribed route that you have to go. He knows he's supposed to stay below that 1,300 feet. He knows he's going to go up and down the Hudson River corridor, but he wants a radar facility, or LaGuardia in this case, to follow him. And if they have the time, and they will then give him traffic calls. They've been doing that up to this point. So they just confirmed now with New York 39 that they're going to follow him and they're going to call traffic. So that's very nice. It's a kind of a safeguard for mid-airs.
Got that traffic to side, maintain a visual set, New York 39, thanks for help.
Now they turned around, they're headed south again. Okay, at some point now they're approaching the entrance to the Holland Tunnel, and just basically even less than a quarter mile away from that, something catastrophic happens with this helicopter. There is no radio communication. They don't even have time to get a call out. The conjecture is that either they hit something or somehow maybe the rotor on the aircraft came apart. Here's how a helicopter works. The wing, if you will, the wing on a helicopter is that rotating blade on the top called a rotor. That's the primary rotor. It's spinning at a very high speed, but the leading edge of that rotor that's spinning around is creating lift for the helicopter. So all the weight of the helicopter is lifted up on that. And there are a lot of moving parts in a helicopter. A lot of people think helicopters are unsafe because of that. I'm just here to tell you they're safe. There's just a lot of moving parts in a helicopter. The tail also has a rotor on it, and it's oriented in a different direction. It's to keep the helicopter pointing straight. Because if that rotating blade on the top would cause the helicopter to spin as well, so that tail rotor keeps the aircraft straight. At some point here, as we see the footage of the airplane kind of in slow motion coming down, or the helicopter coming down, you can see that there are parts falling off of it. The fuselage of the helicopter is actually upside down at this point, and all of the rotors are gone, and the tail section is missing. So something extremely catastrophic happened at some point right around the 900-foot mark as they're coming down towards the Holland Tunnel. My conjecture is this, and we'll find out in detail when the NTSB report comes out, but maybe one of the rotors came off. If one of the rotors came off completely, it would cause such a vibration in that airframe that it may cause the airframe to come apart. That's a possibility. What caused that rotor to come off is we're going to find out in the report when it finally gets published. Could they have hit a drone? Maybe. They clearly didn't hit another aircraft or another helicopter. We know that much at least at this point. But they came apart in air. The tail of the airplane came off. All of the rotors came. You can see here one of the rotors separating from the airplane and falling into the river. And the whole thing turns upside down because of the weight is on the fuselage. It inverts itself, and they crash into the river. And fortunately, they didn't hit the entrance to the Holland Tunnel. That could have caused some more secondary issues. But sadly, everybody's life was lost in this tragic accident, and we don't know exactly what happened. It's a very tragic accident, folks. We're going to wait for that NTSB report to come out and tell us the rest of the details on how exactly this happened. But I just want to reassure you that it's safe to fly. Looking back over the stats about helicopter accidents in New York, there's only been 30 fatalities in the last 50 years. And that's a really incredible safety record. So if you're thinking helicopters aren't safe, no, not exactly. The stats don't back that up. But when something like this happens, obviously it makes the news and it's very dramatic. But I'm here to tell you it's safe to go flying. We've just had a lot of things happen here recently, and hopefully we get a good investigation into this so we can find out exactly what went wrong with this helicopter. Well, now you know. I'm Captain Steve. Fly safe.
Hey, did you hear about the trade war that's going on with China and everyone? What about the measles outbreak throughout North America and pending bird flu pandemics? You know. How about the fact that cancer rates are on the rise across all age groups? They're spiking. Cancer, cancer, cancer. What about, did you hear about just general war that's likely about to happen across the world, which will make it increasingly hard to get supplies over the next year? What about this? What about this? Have you heard this? Check this out.
What patients are doing, though, and it's their choice to do this, is they're using it off-label. So it's off the FTC, FDA label, and they're using it in the setting of advanced cancer. So I had a patient today who decided to do this. And this patient had lung cancer. It had spread throughout his lungs. He had taken full chemotherapy, radiation surgery. He's done everything possible. And now the data are emerging that these anti-parasitic agents may have anti-cancer effects.
Okay, guys, so go hit the link in bio. Use promo code FORREAL. You're going to get 10% off your med kit. You can get a med kit with ivermectin today. You can order that. You can stock up on ivermectin. It's very clear that these anti-parasitics may have much more useful uses than we've been told. I hate to say that Big Pharma was hiding these things from us, but you know, go hit up Wellness Company. These are the good guys. These guys will provide you with contagion kit. If you just need a run-of-the-mill first aid kit, if you want a big boy kit with everything included, they got that too. campers, hunters, family members, anyone that's concerned about supplies, accessibility, moving forward, should go hit the link in bio now. And yeah, I'll say it again. You can get your hands on ivermectin today through Wellness Company, through the link in my bio. What are you waiting for? Peace.
Oh, hey, it's me again. More crazy shit about the helicopter crash. Let's get into it. Honestly, I hate that these things, it's like I don't even want to approach it. I let this kind of marinate for a couple days. This is sus. Let's look at some pictures, shall we? Here is the picture that the family posted. It looks like the helicopter's predominantly white with black stripes, right? Is that like fair to say? Here's a shot of what fell out of the sky. I do see some white on it, but it looks like it's predominantly black. No? Like, look at that, zoomed in. Does that look like the same helicopter? These are also some of the projects that the CEO exec from Siemens was involved in. UK rail infrastructure project, an India project. He had a project in Spain as well. All of these projects, major money, controversy. And let's not forget about the deal he had with Turkey. Wouldn't it be crazy if the helicopter that fell into the Hudson was sabotaged? No, not really, but indulge me. Wouldn't it be crazy if it's extremely rare for a tail rotor to just completely fall off a helicopter mid-flight? Yes, it can happen with like extreme pressure changes, but this thing was just doing a straight shot, low altitude. I mean, I guess someone mentioned a Jesus nut. I guess that's a very defined helicopter thing. So, no Jesus nut would just be left loose unless it was done intentionally, right? Having said that, there's also witnesses that claim to have seen a drone that was maybe in the area. I don't know. Has New York seen any weird drone sightings lately? I don't know. Maybe. Wouldn't it also be crazy if the Coast Guard, as shown by friend of the channel, War Deadpool, shout out over on TikTok, the Coast Guard was about 2 miles from the crash site when it went down. And you can see here, it just flew right on by. Just sailed right on by there. I guess he had better things to deal with. He could have responded in like a minute. Furthermore, did you know that there was a helicopter pretty much following the one that fell? This one, right here. God, it'd be interesting to see footage that helicopter might have. I don't know. Or hear what the people on it have to say. And I guess it'd be really crazy if the guy who died from Siemens had worked on a deal with Turkish Railways to boycott Israel.
Hey, Carl, so the president's ever-changing tariff policies are playing a little havoc here with the effort to measure inflation expectations among the public. The New York Fed, their survey of consumer expectations out with the much-followed inflation expectations up 0.5 point on the 1 year, unchanged on the 3 year, and 2.9 down a tick on the 5 year. But don't get too excited because this survey was conducted before the April 2nd so-called Liberation Day. You can see there it's March 1 through the 31st. The New York Fed also saying that price expectations for food surging higher along with medical care and expectations for rent increases. Expectations for gas increases fell. And this is worrisome here, the probability of a higher unemployment rate jumping 4.4% to 44%. That's the highest since April 2020, so there is some concern out there about jobs. Now, here's the last week's University of Michigan survey conducted after the April 2nd tariffs, but before the April 9th repeal. So not all entirely clear. You can see they surged a lot. New York Fed and the MU Michigan, they're pretty close. They usually run together. Unclear how this survey would have looked after that April 2nd Liberation Day. Guys?
Have you ever heard of the Anunnaki? These ancient beings from Mesopotamian mythology have been the subject of much fascination and debate in recent years. But what if I told you that some people believe the Anunnaki were real and may have actually played a role in human history? According to this theory, the Anunnaki were a group of extraterrestrial beings who came to Earth thousands of years ago. They were said to be highly advanced, possessing knowledge and technology far beyond anything humans of that time could comprehend. But what did they want with us? Some believe that the Anunnaki were responsible for creating humanity, using genetic engineering to create a hybrid race of humans and their own species. Others believe they simply visited Earth to mine for resources, and may have even taught ancient civilizations like the Sumerians advanced techniques like agriculture and metalworking. While there is no concrete evidence to support the existence of the Anunnaki, Their legend has persisted for centuries. Whether they were real or simply a myth, their story continues to captivate and inspire those who seek to understand the mysteries of our past.
Who is Heket in Egyptian mythology? An ancient Egyptian goddess, Heket embodied fertility, childbirth, and regeneration. Her worship flourished throughout Egypt, particularly during the Middle Kingdom, circa 2055 through 1650 BCE, and continued into the Greco-Roman period. Primarily depicted as a frog or a woman with a frog's head, she symbolized life emerging from the Nile's fertile waters. As a birth goddess, Heket ensured safe deliveries, protecting mothers and newborns. She also played a role in creation myths, often alongside Khnum, who molded humans on a potter's wheel, with Heket breathing life into them. Her association with the life-giving Nile solidified her connection to abundance and rebirth. Amulets bearing her image were common, especially among women seeking fertility or safe childbirth. Her enduring presence in Egyptian religion highlights the culture's deep reverence for life and its cyclical nature in Egyptian mythology.
Anubis, the god of death in Egyptian mythology, was known as the protector of tombs and the guide of souls to the afterlife. His story begins as the son of the goddess Nephthys and the god Set, but he was later adopted by Osiris, the lord of the underworld. Anubis took on his role as the protector of the dead, ensuring that every soul reached its final destination. Alongside the goddess Ma'at, he symbolized justice during the weighing of souls. If the heart was light, the soul could enter eternal life. If it was heavy, it would be devoured by Ammit, the soul-eating beast. Feared for his power, yet revered as a guardian, Anubis protected tombs from looters and safely guided souls through the underworld, offering them protection on their journey. His jackal-headed figure embodied the sacred cycle of life and death, a powerful reminder that the end of one life is only the beginning of another.
You know, Ariane, I have to say,
On my break-in, we got
experience.
Jeff Bezos here.
Yep.
I'm so excited for you. I don't want to get off. I want to go with you. And when you get back, I can't wait to hear how it's changed you. I love all of you. See you soon. Godspeed. Kudatum Ferociter.
I'm also launching a tour on April 23rd in Mexico, and I'll be on tour for the rest of the year. And I think it would be pretty cool to reveal my set list for that tour in space.
Is that what you're going to do?
I just might.
We can look forward to it?
Just on a little
nugget?
Little nugget, yeah.
A mysterious triangular tower at Area 51 has been discovered on Google Maps, and people are speculating it could be alien technology. The imposing sci-fi-worthy structure, about 80 miles northwest of Las Vegas, is circulating online after being spotted on Google Maps. On social media, people have compared it to a skyscraper, an exhaust vent, and even a Dyson air purifier. But its location at Area 51 is leading conspiracy theorists to speculate that it is somehow involved in alien contact. After a shot of the tower was posted online, one user said, "It's where the aliens test their various white powders." Someone else posted, "Obviously alien technology. It pops out when the Earth is done." Facebook users also joked about the identity of the tower, with one person calling it a new version of Jenga, the popular British board game. Yet another said, "The aliens are like, we can help you out, but we can't work in those square things you humans work in. We need our tall triangle-shaped building." Do you think aliens are among us?
Last week, we got tons of good questions about trade wars, and they are not two nations physically hurling goods and products at each other. They do this through tariffs.
And that is a tax that consumers pay on foreign goods.
That was Jacob Bogich, our congressional economics correspondent, and I asked him all about trade wars. But the first thing I wanted to know was a definition and some real-world examples.
What a trade war is when countries retaliate against the United States with their own tariffs. So President Trump imposes a tariff on Canadian imports, and Canada retaliates with a tax on American imports, and back and forth and back and forth.
But if trade wars can raise prices on this many goods, why do it in the first place? I'm going to let Jacob answer that question because I am setting up my tripod.
In theory, is to incentivize consumers to buy goods that are made in America.
So in order to buy American-made products, America has to make them. So let's take cars, for example. The administration just announced a brand new tariff on cars. But the U.S. does not have the manufacturing base or the workforce to keep up with demand. So we could very well see a timeline where there are less cars in the U.S. and the cars that we do have are more expensive. So, Jacob, final question. Who wins a trade war?
There really isn't any winner in a trade war. There's just a big loser, and that's consumers, because the price of goods keeps getting more expensive.
Look, I'm not going to be long, but this is what I want to say. This country faces some very difficult challenges. And the future of what happens to America is dependent upon your generation. Now, you can turn away and you can ignore what goes on, but if you do that, you do it at your own peril. We need you to stand up to fight for justice. To fight for economic justice, social justice, and racial justice. Now, we got a president of the United States who... I agree. He thinks that climate change is a hoax. He is dangerously wrong. And you and I are going to have to stand up to the fossil fuel industry and tell them to stop destroying this planet. All over this country, not in California, not in Vermont, where I'm from, but in Florida, where Maxwell is from, many other states, politicians are trying to take away a woman's right to control her own body. We need you to stand up and fight for women's rights. We have an economy today that is working very well for the billionaire class, but not for working families. We need you to help us to create an economy that works well for everybody, not just the 1%. We have a healthcare system that is broken. We are the only major country not to guarantee healthcare to all people. We need you to stand up to the insurance companies and the drug companies and understand that healthcare is a human right. Now, I'm here to introduce Clairo, not just because they are a great band, not only because Clairo at the age of 13 posted videos on the internet as a singer-songwriter. I'm here because Clairo has used her prominence to fight for women's rights, to try to end the terrible, brutal war in Gaza, where thousands of women and children are being killed. So I want to thank Clairo not only for being in a great band, but for the great work she is doing.